Check. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Again, we're asking each and every one who's still standing around, our Prime Minister is to join us in just seconds. And so we're asking you all to kindly take your seats at this time as we get ready to begin this morning's proceedings. We'd like to do so with an amount of flow and ease. And so we're asking everyone at this time to kindly take their seats, please. We'd like to get the proceedings on the way in the shortest possible time. And ladies and gentlemen, as a result of the inclement weather, we will be doing the ribbon cutting before we begin the official formalities. And so we are asking the representatives to make their way on over to the ribbon cutting area that is to my left of the stage. Maybe you're right, depending on where you're standing. And the members of the OPM is guiding, they're now guiding the persons who ought to be standing by the ribbon area for the cutting. And ladies and gentlemen, our Prime Minister has arrived. Ladies and gentlemen, can we all stand, please, as our Prime Minister joins us for this morning's ceremony. We're also asking Reverend Nigel Pusey to join us to offer. Join me right here. To offer prayer as we mark this monumental morning, the handing over of 100 CNG buses. And ladies and gentlemen, our ministers, along with our Prime Minister, they're making their way on over to the ribbon area. We will cut the ribbon. And so we're asking the members of the media to make their way on to the ribbon area so we can capture this moment. Just to tell you that we are indeed streaming live on JIS. And we are ready Prime Minister has scissor in hand. And if you join me, we can count down to the cutting. And we will cut the ribbon in 5. No, not yet. Okay, they're pausing me. No problem. We'll wait. Ladies and gentlemen, just before the cutting of the ribbon, we're going to be inviting Reverend Pusey to say a word of prayer.
Let us pray. Most gracious and glorious God, we give you thanks for your blessings upon us as a country. We thank you for this morning and for the joys that comes with this morning. We thank you for the privilege and the ability to afford these buses and for offering them to our public so that they can travel more freely. We pray your blessing on them and on this morning's ceremony. May all things be in according to your will. Through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen.
Thank you so much, Reverend. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I do believe we are ready. And the Prime Minister is ready. And we'll count down in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ladies and gentlemen, the ribbon is cut. And we now have 100 CNG buses right here to service our people. And the Prime Minister and the delegation will tour the buses at this time. So we ask for your patience, after which we will continue with the proceedings.
Pull back. Push back. Everybody step. What could we have one of the minister push her up here? Please.
Why, Daryl, you look like you need help? No. Good. Give me a second.
Still like that? Yeah, but the money got me a bit slow.
Quiet, I can put up.
All right, take the bus now. Yes.
Lower it. Just kill the bus.
Oh, see. Okay.
Yeah.
Lift up now.
Good. He wasn't killed. That's us. Because in those cases, we just restart the park on the sidewalk. By the time you leave the bus, low enough. And then we come straight to him. All right. Be careful with that slide.
Yeah.
Come, Johnny. Everybody can come. Everybody can come on board.
And you feel AC. The Richard first was on topic on the TVJ last night about climate change.
And we have close to 25.
I said especially in the public.
I know where you're from. It's where?
Can I speak about that? How are you, my dear?
Where is
Yeah, I'm going to get a demonstration of how the man being used.
Nah.
Remember, just use a shotgun. Let's use a shotgun. Remember, just use a shotgun.
This is passengers car. Which is your car out of fashion.
Good lad. Can I raise it a bit? Yeah.
Previously, every time I'm coming, driver would have to driver has all the signs.
This is your So do you have the capabilities of just using your phone, the NFC technology? I mean, so you could pay from your phone, pay from your watch.
They're going to issue cards out first. You don't want to present your phones on the bus.
What I also like is that you have cameras.
No, I like this.
Strategic cameras located around the bus.
We can't go into the guys. It shows the battery. 9 cameras.
9, you say 6, I said 9, my brief said 13 cameras, which is good. So that helps with managing behavior.
Tracking and tracing.
I'm sure they
Yeah, we just saw it. All right, let's get the function on the way before it rains. All right, I have my receipt. I have my receipt. Minister Vaz doesn't have his receipt, neither does Minister Clark. But I can show. I have my receipt. All right, boss. Which is good. Now you will notice that this bus is full of features. One of the things I want to draw attention to would be the number of cameras that are on the bus. I understand that there are 13 cameras on the bus. At the back, in the center here, at the doors and external. So the driver has a full view of what is happening. And that of course helps to moderate behavior on the bus. My understanding is that the feeds are captured. So if incidents were to occur on the bus, we can review and track and trace. The bus is also being geo-tracked, meaning it is possible to see the bus en route, and that functionality is not just for route management and for security, but it offers a great convenience, because I understand, Minister, there is an app that you will be able to track your bus on the app, so that helps you with time management. You know where the bus is and you know what time
whether the bus is crowded,
and you will know even that level of detail, the number of persons who are seated. So it's bringing Jamaican transportation into the 21st century. But outside of that, we have learned from the previous buses, and these buses are particularly constructed for Jamaican conditions. The flooring is of a particular material which allows for very hard use, and the seating is plastic, and the two combined allows for easier cleaning of the bus. We have made sure that there are provisions for the disabled community. and the buses are designed with a kneeling feature so they can tilt to the curb or below to allow easier access. And the air conditioning is quite good, if I may say so myself. It's quite good. I don't know how long it will last in the Jamaican heat, but my understanding is that even that has been taken into account in designing for Jamaica. So all in all, these 100 buses, I'm sure, will improve the traveling convenience. It will improve our productivity as a nation. The issue has always been, can we maintain it? Can we maintain it?
Service contract.
These buses were procured with a service contract. So we didn't buy buses. What I would want the Jamaican people to think about is that we bought a capability. We bought a capability. So we will be able to transport and have that capability over not just the life of the bus, but the life of the service contract, which may very well extend the life of the bus. We will do another 100 in a few months and another 100 after that, and that should put our public transportation in good stead. Now, there are some equity issues which we have to consider. Clearly, people in urban areas will get this benefit, so we have to have consideration about how do we extend the service to other parts of the island, but that must be limited by our fiscal, meaning the revenues that we have, that we raise, and how we grow our economy. So all of that is in lockstep. As our economy grows, our revenues improve, the services also improve. So it's a big deal for Jamaica. It's a big deal.
Dear Prime Minister, thank you.
Oh, 3, 2, 1. Great.
Good.
Charging station now. And
Yep. And our LNG that. I CNG, wait.
Which side do you want it for? Well, that charge gets up, not active.
See something over there, though.
So you don't want paper on the side, right?
Is this plant?
What is that charge? This is gas.
Is that? Then a CNG? A CNG. A CNG in Richie, both of them are CNG.
You not see camera? What? You not see the camera? You not see it?
Yes.
At how the buses will be fueled. So we're asking you all to enjoy what's on the screen. I believe we're able to stream that to you, and you'll be able to see what's happening on the outside. Thank you again for your patience.
You need, oh, you're a shredder. Yeah. So tell us about the CNG.
Can I take you? Okay, come back here.
The product comes to us in liquid natural gas. It then goes into the plant.
Hold on.
One sec. Oh, too much noise, please.
What happened?
Go ahead now.
No, wait. Somebody coming to demonstrate.
New Fortress. Come on.
Come
No, New Fortress. Let's choose
New Fortress reps, come.
New Fortress.
Two drizzles already, so let's move.
The gentleman in the new fortress.
Yes.
Go beside Mr. Sam. Go over that side.
Next side.
No, it's one director we have it.
Yeah, let's go over there.
What do you want?
Over that side.
You, because you come over here.
Not senior.
Yeah.
New Fortress.
I'm feeling too
Go ahead.
now, so move pretty fast.
Alright, we're going to show a demonstration of filling one of the buses. Also, the product comes from New Fortress in a liquid form, LNG, goes into this plant and it comes out as compressed natural gas. And that's what we're going to show as a demonstration. One of the reasons that we looked at compressed natural gas over liquid natural gas was liquid natural gas tends to pool if there is a leak, and compressed natural gas will vaporize immediately. For the reasons of carrying commuters and the safety of it, we opted to go compressed natural gas. So we will show a demonstration right now. Compressed natural gas, as you know, is much cheaper than diesel, and we're having good success with the buses so far. 5 came first, 20 came after, and now a new 100.
So before you do the demonstration, just that everyone who is watching us now would understand that the government took a strategic decision to change the fuel source from diesel to a cheaper fuel source, compressed natural gas. And that decision was made for economic reasons, efficiency, but more so to be able to manage the fuel stock and prevent theft of the diesel, which was at a level where it became a fiscal concern to the operational integrity of the JUTC. So the customer will save, the commuter, the passenger will save from a cheaper fuel, but the passenger may not realize that they also save from less theft of fuel, which means that the JUTC can operate with its existing budget and give more service.
That's correct, and also it's environmentally friendly.
Yes, and that's another big,
What's the time to fuel a bus?
We're getting to 10 minutes now.
10 minutes per bus.
10 minutes per bus.
And we can do 3 at a time.
We can do 3 at a time.
So you refuel overnight?
We'll be fueling probably 16, 17 hours per day. Our plant could be working 16, 17 hours.
How long does it take to refuel about?
10 minutes. It can be, depending on when it comes in. If it's half, it's less. If it's totally empty, it's about 10 minutes. 3/4 full, it's double time. So we're averaging maybe 16 hours to keep the 100 buses, the 126 buses on the road. Some of these buses will also have a range of 400 kilometers. So Portmore in itself, 100, 105 buses will adequately support Portmore's need. So we're now logistically looking at how we can move some of these other buses to Spanish Town to take some of the load from Spanish Town. Because those are the two main towns, Portmore and Spanish Town. Those are the ones that we have tremendous problems with.
All right, go ahead with your demonstration.
These are our...
You can give the bill to the PM for this one. Come back there, Aaron. You guys need to see this.
No, well, slowly. Before you start, nobody has any open flame, no cigarettes, smoking, no static electricity going on.
No, yes.
People now. No, come on, step back now so I can do the shot. Sure.
And all the buses are registered in the system.
The cell phone people them brother.
That is not registered in the system.
People with the cell phones they can step back to, you know. I don't want to show it. I don't want to show it. I don't want to show it.
We have people.
All right, I think we get the idea.
I'm just want to put it over the place. Like, that shot along to the bus step. Me I go.
What if you do, I make him walk like
Yeah,
from
that-
the
that-
6 bus come
that
up.
way, but that way I do, yeah.
From the 6 bus come up.
Till it's 30 cell phone people, brother. 30 cell phone people, no?
Cell phone people come back to the place. No need for that, sir.
Good man. Good?
Yeah. Just pull back from it, please. We need to get the bus in the shot. Just pull back now. Okay, sir, can just walk towards us. Walk towards us and talk. Great, good stuff.
Thank you, sir. We're done.
For good to them that loves the Lord. And so we are so grateful that the Lord held his hand to allow us to have the ribbon cutting and the refueling. Ladies and gentlemen, we ask that you all stand for the greatest prayer that we could ever have, the national anthem of our beloved country, Jamaica. Seated. We'd like to welcome again the Most Honorable Prime Minister Andrew Holness, the Honorable Minister of Science, Energy, Telecommunication and Transport, Darrell Vaz. Also like to welcome the Honorable Minister of Finance and the Public Service, Dr. Nigel Clark. We'd like to extend apologies on behalf of His Worship Mayor of Portmore, Mr. Leon Thomas, who has had a family emergency and so will not be able to join us this morning. We'd like to welcome MP Mr. Mikhail Phillips, Opposition Spokesperson, Housing, Transport and Works. Joining us this morning, the Honourable Minister Audley Shaw, MP, former Minister of Transport. Welcome, sir. Thank you for joining us this morning. Other MPs and state ministers here with us today. I know we have quite a few of them, so we say thank you for joining us this morning. We'd like to say welcome to Mr. Russell Hadid, Chairman of the JUTC, and CEO, Mr. Paul Abrahams of the JUTC. Other specially invited guests, agencies, members of the media, the staff at the JUTC. Good morning again, and welcome to this monumental morning, the handing over ceremony of 100 CNG buses here at the Portmore Depot. Please put your hands together for this morning. I'd also like to make special mention, and I ask that you do as well give this moment a rousing round of applause. Ms. Christine Keane, President of the Combined Disabilities Association for St. Catherine, the first member of our disabled community to access one of these buses. Please put your hands together once more for that moment. I believe it really was a big one. Ladies and gentlemen, the government envisions that this handover will have a great impact on the commuter experience on the island by enhancing the infrastructure of our public transportation system. In doing so, the initiative will modernize JUTC's fleet, reduce environmental impact, and provide a more efficient and reliable service to Jamaican citizens who are seeking to go about their days with ease, comfort, and to do so on time. So we have a number of presentations and remarks, and so we will get with that underway at this time. First up on today's program, we invite Mr. Russell Hadid, Chairman of the JUTC Board, to offer his welcoming remarks. Please make him welcome.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Honorable Prime Minister, Minister Clark, Minister Vaz, Permanent Secretary Carol Palmer, Opposition Spokesman on Transportation Mikhail Phillips, distinguished guests, directors, JUTC employees, and the media. It is with pleasure that I welcome you here this morning as we mark a pivotal step in our commitment to smarter, environmentally friendly transportation. As chairman of the board, I want to welcome you to the handing over of 100 CNG buses to the JUTC. JUTC has an exclusive mandate to provide public transit service within the Kingston Metropolitan Transit Region, which includes St. Catherine. And operating on 120 routes, JUTC plays a critical role in the daily lives of our citizens. The company also collaborates with franchise holders to extend its service to several areas, including comprehensive coverage and connectivity. Important to note, the JUTC employs the largest pool of bus drivers in the English-speaking Caribbean. JUTC operates from 3 main depots, Spanish Town, Portmore, and Rockford, offering a range of services, including charter and premium express services. In its ongoing support for other regions, 12 buses were recently sent from JUTC to Montego Metro to bolster their fleet and enhance the service delivery in the Montego Bay area. Today's handing over is not just another addition to the fleet. It's the largest single addition in our history, and it's a commitment of government, and it shows a commitment of government to the JUTC and to the commuting public. The fleet already includes 25 CNG buses, but with the addition of 100 new buses, we are significantly expanding our capacity to provide cleaner, more efficient transportation. To reflect briefly on our history of bus acquisition, in 2014, we received 69 buses. In 2015, 27 buses. In 2016, 35 buses. In 2019, we only received 5 buses, but these were the new CNG buses. And in 2023, we expanded the fleet with an additional 70 buses, comprising 45 diesel, and for the first time, 5 EV buses, and 20 new CNG buses. Our goal is to improve transportation infrastructure while adopting greener methods. And this year's theme, Smarter Transportation, Advancing Jamaica, encapsulates that goal. We recognize that transportation plays a critical role in the economic and social development of our nation. As we face the challenges of urbanization and the pressing need to reduce our carbon footprint, the introduction of these CNG buses represents a significant stride in our effort to provide cleaner, more energy-efficient transportation to our citizens. On behalf of the board, I want to recognize Honorable Minister Vaz for his unwavering support and leadership in driving initiatives to prioritize sustainability and innovation in our transportation sector. Today, as we celebrate this milestone, let us also reaffirm our commitment to continually explore and implement new strategies that will further advance our transportation system. Together, we can ensure that our public transport services remains not only accessible and affordable, but also aligns with our environmental goals. In conclusion, I wish to express my sincere thanks to all those who worked tirelessly to make this initiative a reality. Once again, welcome to this remarkable event. Let us continue to work hand in hand to build a brighter, greener future for our nation. Thank you.
And we say thank you to Mr. Russell Hadid, Chairman of the JUTC Board. Can we put our hands together once more, please, for our Chairman? We've come a far way indeed. Indeed, our economic and social development is hinged on access and our ability to move forward. So we say thank you, sir, for your welcome. Up next, ladies and gentlemen, we invite to the podium MP Mr. Mikhail Phillips, opposition spokesperson on housing, transport and works, to bring his remarks. Please give him a warm Portmore welcome.
Most Honorable Prime Minister, Minister Vaz, Minister Clark, other ministers, Chairman of the Board, board members, management of the JUTC, staff of the JUTC, special invited guests. You know, many might wonder what is the opposition doing here on a day like this. But we are not only, I can be critical when it is necessary to be critical, but at the same time, have to congratulate the minister and the government for the infusion of new buses at the JUTC. You know, public transport is not just a JLP or a PMP issue. It is a national issue. And it is one that, once we're moving in the right direction, as those opposition spokesperson, the minister has my support. Yes, you have me on tape. You know, the minister has had a very active few months. Started off with ride sharing, with the lack of buses, with now Hurricane Beryl and the JPS. I hope he gets a break in the coming months. But, you know, even though I have my eyes on his position, wanting to be the next Minister of Transport, I have to commend the minister on his attitude towards public transport. And he's been able to achieve it because of a close working relationship that we have. But the inclusion of over 100 new buses to the JUTC will help the fleet of the JUTC. We have complained about the lack of buses and the reduction in fare boxes. The inclusion of these new buses, especially these 100 buses, will make a difference, especially in the community of Portmore. Seeing the mixture of energy, the CNG, the diesel, and the electric will also complement what we as opposition think is a good inclusion of the difference in energy to the fleet of JUTC. More will always be needed, and more is needed. And I hope in the coming months we can hear from the minister a national plan on transport. Because there are some unfinished business, the ride sharing, we still want to see a policy dealing with ride sharing. We want to see where it is at the rationalization of the fleets. We want to hear more about rural transport, which is a national transport plan to move transportation forward. There are some in our society that believe that we need to get rid of the JUTC. The opposition is not in support of that. We think that the JUTC is important to public transport, not only in the KMTR, but should be carried right across, inclusive of rural transport. As a rural member of parliament, we have to find some way how we subsidize those children and elderly in urban areas, how it is that we do the same for our rural children and the elderly in the rural parts of Jamaica. So we're here to celebrate with the administration, the minister, the inclusion of these 100 buses. And we hope that this is not just one set, but when we get to government, we'll continue the same too. But, yeah. But Minister, Prime Minister, Minister Clark, board and management of the JUTC, we are here to celebrate with you because this is a good step, not only for the administration, but for the people of the KMTR and the people of JUTC, of Kingston and St. Andrew, and Jamaica, but also for the staff of the JUTC that has been carrying the JUTC on their backs without the buses that are needed. And I hope that every Jamaican that use the buses, use them with care. And those members of the JUTC own them and treat them with care. Congratulations, and may God continue to bless you.
No, this is a moment that we don't see very often. I hope the camera picked that up. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together once more for MP Mr. Mikhail Phillips, Opposition Spokesperson, Housing, Transport and Works. We say thank you so much, sir, for your endorsement of this initiative, and we thank you for also underscoring that we indeed have come a far way and we do have some ways to go. And public transportation is everybody's business. It's a national business. Ladies and gentlemen, we continue with the proceedings, and we welcome at this time Mr. Kevin Wang, Vice President of the Exporting Department, as he shares a few thoughts with us on this valuable initiative. Please make him welcome.
Ni hao. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. The most honorable Prime Minister, Mr. Holness, Mr. Vaz, Mr. Clark, Mr. Hadi, Mr. Abrams. Today is an honor to stand here on behalf of Xiamen Golden Dragon Bus Company as we celebrate the official handover of 100 natural gas bus to the Jamaican Urban Transit Company. First and foremost, I would like to extend our heartfelt gratitude to the government of Jamaica and JUTC for selecting Xiamen Golden Dragon as the supplier for this significant project. This partnership is a testament to the trust and the confidence you have placed in us, and we are deeply appreciate. This project has been of almost importance to Golden Dragon. We have devoted significant resources and attention to ensure its success. Understanding the unique road condition and the operational habits in Jamaica, our team developed 2 specific bus models tailored to meet these needs. Before mass production, these models underwent small-scale trial runs to ensure that every aspect was fine-tuned to perfection. Only when all parameters meet our top standards and we proceed with full-scale production and delivery. I'm proud to say that all vehicles have arrived in Jamaica on schedule, and today we are officially entering services. I would also like to express our sincere thanks to our Jamaican distributor, Vaughn's Motor Company. As one of the Golden Dragon's most outstanding overseas partners, Vaughn's Motor has maintained a strong and loyal relationship with us for over 20 years. Their commitment to customer satisfaction is unmatched, and they consistently developing top premium after-sales services to our clients in Jamaica. Throughout the production of these 100 buses, the Vaughn's Motor team spent 6 weeks in China, closely monitoring the entire manufacturing process. They conduct top quality inspection on behalf of our end customers, ensure that each vehicle meets highest standard before shipment. To further support this project, Golden Dragon had dispatched an after-sales service team to Jamaica. They will remain here for 6 months, working closely with local service team to ensure the smooth operation of all buses and providing comprehensive training to guarantee long-term success. In closing, I would like to once again thank you for choosing Golden Dragon buses. We are committed to contribute our efforts to provide Jamaica with the best public transportation products and services. We're looking forward to have a long-lasting partnership, and that will contribute to improvement of the public transportation in Jamaica. Thank you. 谢谢.
And we say big thanks to Mr. Kevin Wang and the team from Golden Dragon. Thank you so much, sir, for your hand in this morning's handover ceremony. Ladies and gentlemen, we also thank all our guest speakers who brought greetings and encouragement. Up next on the program is a video presentation prepared by the Ministry of Science, Energy, Telecommunications and Transport. Here you'll get a visual breakdown of the buses, their features and benefits, and how this investment will help support Jamaica on a broader scale. We ask that you turn your attentions to the screen.
The government of Jamaica is determined to overhaul the public transport sector and create a system that is people-centered, safe, and reliable, making public transportation the preferred choice for commuter movement both for work and leisure. Part of this vision includes increasing the number of buses in the system, and so the Ministry of Science, Energy, Telecommunications and Transport set out on a three-phase process to procure 300 buses to enhance the fleet of the Jamaica Urban Transit Company. Today marks the actualization of the first phase with the arrival of 100 compressed natural gas or CNG buses, which are being handed over to the JUTC. This initiative represents a bold step forward and the first major purchase of its kind completely funded by the government of Jamaica through the Consolidated Fund. These 100 CNG buses, totaling at a cost of over 3 billion Jamaican dollars, are more than just a new addition to our fleet. They are a commitment to enhancing our public transport system while safeguarding our environment. The buses sport a number of features including Wi-Fi capabilities, 13 camera system with digital video recording that shows the interior and exterior of the bus, providing constant monitoring that can be viewed remotely, geo-tracking to monitor driving habits, fire suppression systems in the engine and tank compartments, electronically controlled air suppression that allows the bus to kneel and lower for easy embarking and disembarking for persons with mobility issues, custom engineered suspension to make the ride more comfortable, driver seats with lumbar support for a more comfortable driving experience, interior steps and aisle lighting. Each row has adjustable AC vents for a more personalized comfort and safety handrails and handles for standing passengers. 10 of these buses are specially outfitted for the disabled and are equipped with low-slope ramps for easy access, designated seating, and call buttons to notify the driver when they have arrived at their destination. These buses are also smart buses, so commuters will be able to track their bus through an app to see when they are expected to be at their respective locations. These buses are not only environmentally friendly, but also designed for efficiency. They feature state-of-the-art technology that ensures better fuel economy and lower maintenance costs, making them a practical choice for the JUTC. Fuel will be provided by New Fortress Energy through their compressed natural gas supply stations at the Portmore Bus Depot. By integrating these CNG buses into our fleet, we are not only improving public transport, but also making a significant impact on our community's quality of life. We are ensuring that our citizens benefit from a reliable, efficient, and environmentally friendly transportation system. As we gather to mark this historic milestone, let us celebrate the progress we've made and the brighter future ahead. These CNG buses are a testament of our collective effort to drive change and promote sustainability. Together, we are steering Jamaica towards a more sustainable and efficient public transport system. We are committed. Smarter transportation advancing Jamaica.
Indeed, smarter transportation, advancing Jamaica. Wow, can you put our hands together once more, please? I'd like to highlight the fact that in addition to the 100 buses being handed over today, there have been 171 new buses introduced to our public transport system since May last year. This is indeed an achievement, and we'd like to applaud the ministries for this, please. But this is just the beginning, we hear, and so we know way more is in store. Ladies and gentlemen, we will continue with the proceedings, and at this time, we'd like to give a warm welcome to the Honorable Dr. Nigel Clark, our Minister of Finance and the Public Service, who will share some remarks with us on how this initiative will greatly benefit our Jamaican economy. Please make him welcome.
Most Honorable Prime Minister Andrew Holness, Minister Darrell Vaz and his family, Opposition Spokesperson Michael Phillips, Members of Parliament Audley Shaw, Donovan Williams, and Minister of State in the Ministry, Juliet Cuthbert, and of course Boboski Watantala, MP, Permanent Secretary, members of the Transportation Fraternity, Commissioner, Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. It is wonderful to be here for the handing over of these 100 buses. As we were going through, I said to Minister Vaz, it's full 100. But then I was reminded that since he became minister, he's 170 not out. What Brian Lara record is again? 365. Well, I'm here to tell you, tell 300, is 400 not out? Is 400 for rule? Well, tell Brian Lara from Jamaica, watch out, Darrell Vaz is going to break his record. Am I right, Minister? So, I just want to make 3 brief remarks. Well, but preceding that by commending Minister Vaz, who has brought a level of energy and vision to the transportation sector. And he has a vision that Jamaicans should not wait longer than a minimum period of time for a bus. And he is going to get there. So 3 things just to remark. The first is just to step back and take stock of this moment in history, where for the first time, we are able to procure as many as 100 buses at the same time without $1 of borrowed funds. That has not been possible before now. The second thing to bear in mind is that this is possible because of economic stability. The macroeconomic fundamentals today are better than at any time in the last 50 years. And people ask, how does it affect me? Well, how it affects you is 100 buses to transform the transportation system. And so we have to protect it with everything that we have. Sustainable policy choices, not decisions for today only, but decisions that you can sustain over time. The third remark is that our structures and procedures work. No longer are we able to stand on a platform and say, tomorrow morning, we're going to get you 50 buses. And you go and you call the Minister of Finance and bam, bam, bam. No planning, no order. That's not the Jamaica of today. Not the Jamaica that delivers economic stability. Today, we have a public investment management system where you have to justify why you're making this capital expenditure. How is it going to benefit people? I understand the cost today, but what about the cost tomorrow? What are your plans for maintenance? How are you going to deal with these uncertainties and things that might arise? A rigorous process. For some people, it is daunting. And a bad workman always blames their tools. Anytime you hear somebody getting up and blaming the tools, I want to tell you, it could be bad workmanship. A bad workman blames his tools. I want to tell you, Minister Vaz, look at the tools available and say, you know what? I have the courage to deal with this. And in record time, because of his tenacity and energy, and because he listens to his technocrats who surround him, who are powerful people in their own right. Madam PS know who I'm talking about. He listens to them, and his technocrats further down the chain, who know who they are, is able to engage with the public investment process and supply the rigorous details that were required, answered all the questions, and in record time was able to move on to procurement, deal with all the procurement requirements, and here we are today, less than a year later, 9 months later, with 100 buses in place. Credit to Minister Vaz, and that is a rubric of what the future is going to need to be. Can't bypass the system. We've got to work with the tools and in the interest of the Jamaican people. So thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Congratulations to Minister Vaz, and we look forward to seeing the 100 buses rolled out in time for the start of the school year.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Honorable Minister didn't have a speech written down. Everything said from his heart. You could hear the passion. I don't recall seeing our Honorable Minister so passionate. Maybe because, he's leaving. So a lot of things are being said that has been resting on his heart and mind. I can't wait to see when next he will speak. I can't wait to hear what next he will say. We thank you so much, sir, for being here with us this morning. Indeed, it's a big achievement for Jamaica to be able to buy 100 buses with our own money and own nobody at all. I think that deserves a big round of applause. We've come a long way. And ladies and gentlemen, up next, 170 not out and on his way to break Brian Lara's record. The head of the ministry leading this project, the Honorable Darrell Vaz, Minister of Science, Energy, Telecommunications and Transport. Please make him welcome to the stage. He's going to offer us a breakdown of the project, its benefits and the future of transport in Jamaica. Please give him a warm welcome.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for those kind words, Minister Clark. But if you know Minister Clark, he's very calculated. So when he says, I'm going to go to 400 not out, it means I need to remain as minister for another term. That's what he was saying in a diplomatic way. Most Honorable Prime Minister, ministers, MP colleagues, and all of those persons that are... See, Mike, he says yes. Welcome to this momentous occasion. It is absolutely a great pleasure to stand here and address you as the minister responsible for transportation. And it's a good break from being the Minister of Energy. 15 years ago, in 2009, the JUTC was expanded by 200 buses financed by a consortium of banks out of Europe. There was no fiscal space to even hope to purchase these buses without a loan, and any idea for an investment of this nature would have been seen as a pipe dream. Could not be accomplished. It was seen as mission impossible. I must thank my permanent secretary, Mrs. Carol Palmer, the MSED team, the Ministry of Finance led by Minister Clark and the Financial Secretary, the JUTC Board and Management, the Public Investment Appraisal Branch, and the Public Investment Management Committee, along with Golden Dragon and Vaughn's Motors, for making what has taken place possible in record time. Today, Prime Minister, thanks to the economic policies of your government and the fiscal discipline of our Finance Minister, Jamaica has found a way to make impossible possible. I stand here proud as a Transport Minister to state that we have purchased 100 new CNG buses for the improvement of public transportation for the first time in modern Jamaica, and we have done so without any external financing or any needs for loans. Since 2023, 170 buses have been purchased at a cost of 5 billion Jamaican dollars. No loans, no borrowing, no begging. The pipe dream has been met by the Andrew Holness-led government, Dream Team, and the only result is prosperity and productivity for all Jamaicans. And we didn't stop at buses. We made sure, as Minister Clark said earlier, that with the buses, we secured a warranty from the dealer, along with a service contract, and most importantly, parts to come with the buses so that we can keep the buses running. That is what you call proper planning. So we are assuring that the buses we have today will be reliable and maintained for tomorrow. Jamaica, we have found a new way. Former US President John F. Kennedy once stated that a rising tide lifts all boats. And with the tsunami of a finance minister that we have been blessed to have, the transport portfolio, like many others, is a lifted boat today. Ladies and gentlemen, 100 CNG buses that we're adding to the fleet is a tip of the iceberg. And I'm going to come to that a little bit later. Every bus you see here today means more jobs, less waiting time, more productivity, safer commute, and improved service and comfort. This is not trickle-down economics. Prime Minister, with the commissioner of these 100 buses, we have already expanded the Montego Bay Metro fleet from 6 to 18 buses. This is an increase of 200%, not a trickle. These buses will serve the parishes of Handover, Westmoreland, Trelawney, and St. James, and Montego Bay Metro currently transports daily, between 47 and 55,000 commuters. With this improvement, Montego Bay Metro will now serve 80 to 100,000 commuters per day, almost a 100% increase. As a matter of fact, 113%. This will also see the expansion of the Metro service from the existing 5 school routes to 9 school routes. With the additional buses provided to Montego Bay Metro, the added routes will be from Mobay to Betheltown, Montego Bay to Savlamar in Westmoreland, and in St. James from Mobay to Johns Hall and from Montego Bay to Wakefield in Trelawney. This is smarter transportation. This is truly advancing Jamaica. Previously, schools served by Montego Bay Metro included Cambridge High, Nakalva High, Anchovy High, Racines High. I'm proud to state that ahead of back to school, parents, students, and staff of Hopewell High, William Knibb High, and Irwin High schools will be able to commute safely and reliably using the Montego Bay Metro. As was shown earlier, we have expanded the CNG capacity thanks to the partnership of New Fortress Energy at this depot from 1 pump to 3 pumps. That's a 300% increase. So the buses will not be waiting idly to be refueled. That again is not a trickle. These buses run on natural gas. This was intentional, as the Prime Minister said earlier on the tour, to make sure we move away to a more environmentally friendly form of gas. And of course, less expensive and getting away from diesel, which has been a perennial problem in terms of leakage. And you can just imagine what leakage I'm talking about. The figures presented to me, Prime Minister, Minister of Finance, and my friends gathered here, it costs $60,000 to fill one diesel bus, compared to $20,000 to fill the same bus with CNG. So we save 40,000 Jamaican dollars per bus, per fill. Just imagine and multiply that by the fleet, and you will see where we are. So that is $4 million each time we fuel 100 buses, which we do every day. I wonder if you understand what I just said. I don't think. Let me repeat it. We save $40,000 per CNG bus that we fill as against diesel every day. And we refuel 125 buses every day. So it's not $4 million. It's upward of $5 million Jamaican dollars per day for these buses. If you multiply that by 12, you realize, well, if you multiply by 365, because the buses run 7 days a week, that's too much for me to calculate. I need Nigel to help me with that. But just imagine what you can do with that savings to improve the efficiency of JUTC and help, because the money is coming from the consolidated fund. So how much more roads, how much more water supplies, how much more services can we improve for the Jamaican people? Prime Minister, again, I want to indicate very clearly that this has been a very holistic approach. This is not a scatter. Because when you deal with the Ministry of Finance and Minister Clark, you have to have things right and in place. So right now, Prime Minister, I had asked Jamaica for 6 months in December 2023, when people were waiting 2.5, 3 hours at the bus stops. And I said, please give me 6 months. And I stand here today as a member of the Andrew Holness administration to say, commitment made, commitment kept. We don't give the usual political empty promises. Prime Minister, I'm going to ask my colleague, Minister of Finance, to just join me here for 2 minutes. While he's coming up, let me just say the misery routes. Spanish Town to Halfway Tree, Spanish Town to downtown, Greater Portmore to Halfway Tree to downtown, Price Right to downtown, Chancery Street to downtown, Spanish Town to Halfway Tree, Spanish Town to Crossroads, Border above Rocks to Temple Hall, downtown to Bull Bay, downtown to Airport, Port Royal, Harbour View to downtown, downtown to Garden Town. Look out starting tomorrow morning and message me if you don't see bus till bus tone you. And I have already mandated that make sure that the efficiency and the wait time is reduced on all routes, including the hill routes, where we had a few buses. That is the one up into Temple Hall and Garden Town and those areas. And I can say to you that 8 reconditioned hill route buses are being rolled out tomorrow morning as well, with 16 more to come by the end of the year. And I'm going to tell you why. No. Yeah. So I had a meeting with Minister Clark, and I want to make it clear that this was before the announcement yesterday. I don't want nobody to believe, say, I gang him yesterday to say this. This was something we had a meeting with my permanent secretary and the financial secretary. And I showed him where we were short in relation to making sure that we could complete this. This morning he whispered to me that I can go ahead. He has approved the funding for the 3-year service contract for these 100 buses. He has approved the refurbishing of 30 articulated buses that are parked all over the place. And when those 30 buses roll out, we clean up Halfway Tree, we clean up Portmore, we clean up Spanish Town. One bus go there and everybody gone, because we will have the new buses plus the reconditioned buses. As I said before, we refurbish 8 of the Golden Dragon Hill Route buses. He has approved the other 16, which will start immediately so that we can get them out for January morning. And last but not least, he has agreed for the second 100 buses, which he already committed in his budget speech, but with my urging, he has agreed for us to pay the deposit this side of the financial year so we can get the next 100 buses in the same time period, which is June to July of 2025, rather than the end of 25 to 26. The other 100 buses, he has already committed, so we will go through the procurement. And last but not least, he has approved for us to get 30 new premium coach charter buses for the charter services that so many churches and so many schools and so many organizations use from the JUTC for funerals and everything else. All I can say to you is that he's going to the IMF, and I told Anne-Marie last night that when I go to the IMF to visit him, I'm not going to the IMF, I'm going to my MF. Because I will need his guidance and his counsel, because it has been a pleasure to work with this man over the last few years. And there's no better endorsement, Prime Minister. I want you to listen to me. Of all of the regional leaders and prime ministers and everybody that have been praising Minister Clark, you only need to read the opposition statement yesterday saying that they are worried of what is going to happen now that Minister Clark is no longer there. And that in itself is the biggest endorsement. But let me just indicate to them, especially Mikey, since he's representing the leader of the opposition, that he's executing policies. The policies come from the cabinet of the country. So rest easy. He will be there to give us any advice that we need. But whoever is his successor is getting sound fiscal policies that will allow the country to continue on the trajectory that this gentleman has led through the Ministry of Finance. And no, I don't want the job. I want to stay right where I am. Leave me to deal with JPS. And in closing, I will just close by saying, listen, 2 things in relation to my portfolio responsibilities. There is no truth that oil has been found. And the United Oil and Gas, who has the license to explore, has issued a statement to say they have not even started drilling. So please, discontinue that. And secondly, and most importantly, I received a call this morning on the way here from the head of the OUR to say that a meeting was held yesterday evening as a result of a letter that I wrote putting the government's position, and I'm expecting a response to that letter today, and I can say confidently that I expect redress in relation to the latest billing cycle. I'll say no more until we get the letter and I share it with my Prime Minister. Help is on the way. God bless you.
Thank you so much, the Honorable Daryl Vaz, Minister of Science, Energy, Telecommunications and Transport. Can you put our hands together again, please, for the Minister's presentation, sir? We say thank you for leading the charge towards the development of our transportation industry. Talk about succession planning. Thank you so much again to Dr. Clark, the Honorable Dr. Clark, for his hand in this initiative and this move. $5 million saved per day. Oh my gosh. I think that deserves a big round of applause. Now, ladies and gentlemen, as we are winding down to drive this program home, we at this time would like to welcome to the podium our head of state, the country's lead driver, the Most Honorable Prime Minister Andrew Holness, to give us his remarks. Please make the PM welcome.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Under normal circumstances, a Prime Minister would not find it convenient to launch buses. But these are not normal circumstances. I start that way because it is important to place today in context. It is important to help to guide the public narrative about Jamaica and where we are in our development trajectory. And I will give you some experiences. Somewhere around 2015, 2016, early 2016, 2015, at that time I was leader of the opposition. And the issues of public transportation were forefront in the minds of the public. And I decided to conduct a tour of the JUTC. Specifically, I visited the Halfway Tree Transportation Center. I was met then by the head of the JUTC, Colin Campbell, at the time. And we had a very good conversation about the challenges of the JUTC, the lack of buses, the need for maintenance. And I got a very good insight into the challenges faced by the JUTC and public transportation generally. Now, these challenges have faced us cross-administration. They didn't emerge in 2015 alone, or 2007, or even before. These challenges have always been with us. And while the conversation settled on the need to import new buses, to buy new buses, I left there with a greater understanding of the fundamental issue. Because the same understanding would apply to the lack of garbage trucks to collect our garbage. It would apply to the conditions of many of our schools. It could apply to the condition of our roads. It would apply to the conditions of our hospitals. The real problem was the inability of the government to commit to a long-term financing of a capital budget to acquire these critical public assets and infrastructure to supply the services that our citizens need. So when you step on a bus and it is in a poor condition or you have to wait long, you quarrel with public transportation and the government. If you have to wait long in a hospital or you don't have beds, you quarrel with the Ministry of Health and the Minister of Health. But we, as a people, have not made the connection that these lack of services cannot be separated from the lack of economic growth and from the proper fiscal management of the little resources that we have. Minister Clark made a comment which I will adopt and further explore. Minister Clark made the statement that in times gone by, politicians feeling the pressure in the form of demonstrations and roadblocks, public commentary on radio and editorials about the inconveniences that the public would face, whether it is in roads, public transportation, hospitals. When they face their political supporters, would, without any consideration of the financial requirements and impact, would make all kinds of commitments, would make grand announcements about how we're going to buy bus, free education, pothole free in how many years, all kinds of grand statements would be made. And the audience hearing it, mesmerized, would lift the politician to even further grandiose commitments by virtue of their raucous response. But when that politician, having made the commitment, goes back to his cabinet, first he has to face his other ministers, who themselves want road, water, agriculture, health, education, national security, all of them looking at him and say, how you gonna make promise? And then the Minister of Finance has to sit there and say, I don't know how I'm going to fulfill all of these requirements. And when, as politicians, we go out and we face our constituents and we face the man in the street telling us all the problems, and we are all soft-hearted and we have to show how much we care, we say, yes, man, we're going to do it. And when they huddle as a cabinet and the pressure reach them, they say, well, fiscal responsibility, through the window. Processes and systems, through the window. Wherever it must come from, we'll get it. Run with it. So if it means that we have to go and borrow to bring in the bus so that the people stop cussing, then we're going to borrow and bring in the bus. I'm being obviously, maybe dramatic in how I'm expressing the idea, but I need to communicate to you and give you an insight into how the country works and why we have had the problems we have had. And so, yes, we would have borrowed and we would have bought buses, but you wouldn't be able to borrow significantly to buy the number of buses you need. But bear in mind, every time you borrow to purchase these national assets and develop infrastructure, you're not only paying for the infrastructure, you're paying for the cost of borrowing. Borrowing as a cost. And so the cost of the infrastructure when you borrow is more. And so that is not a sustainable pathway. So when I left that meeting and got a good insight into the JUTC, my concern wasn't about buying more buses. Yes, I understand that we need the buses. People need to be able to get on the buses quickly. But the politician who starts there and stops there doesn't really care about you. Because he will never be able to put you on a pathway when those buses reach the end of life that they can be replaced or more buses can be purchased. Because the shortage of the bus is not the real problem. The real problem was that we never spent the time to properly manage our fiscal affairs, meaning how we manage the public revenues, how we deal with taxes, and how we manage expenditure, and how we develop the real sectors in our economy so that they can grow and generate more revenues from which we then purchase the assets and infrastructure that adds to the convenience, the well-being, and indeed the prosperity of your lives. I understand the long struggle, my friends. Jamaica has been involved in a long struggle. From slavery to the Morant Bay Rebellion to our labor struggles to independence to now, we have been struggling. And people can get frustrated. Every year is the same thing. Shortage, problems. How do we get out of it? We get out of it, first of all, by managing our economic affairs properly. We have had it obtused. We have focused on trying to solve our political issues. Fight for our political independence. We have our political independence. No, it's time for us to focus on our economic independence. And what's the meaning of this economic independence? The meaning of our economic independence, to put it in the bluntest, simplest terms, is that we can buy the 100 buses we need without borrowing, and we can project on a long term to buy hundreds more to come without borrowing. Because that is what solves the problem. It is having the economic wherewithal. And because we have the economic wherewithal, when this cabinet that I lead meets, you think they don't come with, I want this and I want that, and but we have a process. We have a system in place. You want buses? First of all, you have to go through a public investment process. Why is the bus more important than the school? So we know how to order our priorities. It may be that we need schools first and then buses. But at least there is an open and transparent process. And okay, let's say we decide that we're going to do the buses. What kind of buses? What kind of contract for these buses? Is it really buses that we need? Or is it the capability to deliver a seat to a passenger on a routine and regular basis without disruption? We need a capability rather than a product. And so to get that capability, we don't only buy the buses, we must buy parts and service. But more than that, we must look for some technology transfer. We must have the technicians here who are able to service those buses. And who knows, eventually maybe we start to fit them up here. And who knows, from that we will become a regional hub for CARICOM. This is how we have to think. And so we go through this process. Then there is a procurement. Who gets to do it? Who gets to supply it? And it has to be competitive. So the public sees us here celebrating the 100 buses. That's not what I am here celebrating. In another 2 years, this buying buses will not be an issue. What I'm here celebrating is that the government has solved, I use the word solve, let me be careful. The government has reached a far way in solving the fiscal issues which have constrained us in dealing with the fundamental needs that improve your welfare and well-being. There are still many threats to it. We are a small, open economy. All kinds of exogenous shocks can take place, meaning shocks coming from outside, out of nowhere that we didn't see, like hurricanes, issues to do with climate change, commodity price changes, interest rates overseas. All kinds of issues can have an impact on our economy. But what we have done as a government, which is unassailable, which no other government has done, is to build a resilient government, a resilient system of managing our fiscal affairs. Minister Clark has been critical to that. Minister Clark and I have been good friends for, I would say, almost 30 years, for a very long time. And we have a similar outlook as to what we need to achieve for Jamaica and where Jamaica should be. And there is obviously generational differences. The way in which Minister Clark and myself would look at things is quite different from maybe some older generations. Meaning that the way in which they see the long struggle and what they see as the outcome from the long struggle is quite different from how we see the long struggle and what should be the outcome and what we need to do. But every generation makes their contribution. And our generation, my generation, the post-independence generation, must make the contribution to settling Jamaica's economic independence. And I believe that this administration, for the time that we have been at the wicket, we have put on the runs on the board and we have instituted, established the pathway for us to achieve our economic independence. And you're beginning now to see the manifestation, the expression of this economic independence. When we are here saying we have bought 100 buses, we have 100 more to come this year, and Minister Vaz made some announcements to say that we have another 100 that will come in even shorter order. That's an expression of our economic independence. We are doing it without borrowing. When I stand here and I say to you that we are doing the Montego Bay bypass, a massive infrastructure, Montego Bay Perimeter Road. They always tell me not to call it a bypass because you can't bypass Montego Bay, but the Perimeter Road and all the other subsidiary roads that will be done as a result of that project. We are doing that without borrowing from our budget. When we have bought the garbage trucks, we are doing the hospitals. We are doing that from our budget without borrowing. That's important. So yesterday, average Jamaican, there are those who would want to diminish this. You know, a couple of years ago, we, in the Bruce Golding administration, we were just at about 2010, 2011. I never forget it. I was talking to a group of persons and I pointed out to them that, that we have kept the dollar, stable and so forth. And the response was, stable dollar can't yam. Because there is a narrative in the public to try to diminish the economic management of the country and to say, do away with that and focus on the giveaways literally. Let me say this to you. If Jamaica ever goes back to that, it will be a guarantee for our destruction. I have to be as graphic as I can so people understand it. All the needs that you have, whether it is the road that passes your gate, the bus that you take, the hospital that you visit, the prescriptions that you need, the security that you require, without a strong economy and good fiscal management, it will not be achieved, and even if you get it one time, it is not sustainable. You won't get it again. So the political economy must change to match the real economy, meaning how you think about how you vote and who you elect must change to match your economic priorities. And that's a message that I would want to deliver here today with these buses. If the buses is what you require, hospitals is what you require, then you have to look at governments and politicians and technocrats and people who you put in positions who understand how to manage the economy. There will always be people who will come well-dressed, have brighter colors, speak very well, and tell you how it's their time. There will always be those people. But the question is, can they deliver? Have they ever delivered? So, we are delivering these buses today. And we are able to do so because we have entrenched good fiscal and monetary policies. Minister Clark is leaving us to join the team at the IMF. It's interesting to see the perspectives being expressed on this. I would say to everyone, these things don't happen overnight. These things are considered. And we have to think about all combination and permutations of outcomes and ensure that the country's best interest is served and that the country remains stable and continue on its pathway and trajectory for growth. Dr. Clark's appointment to the IMF can only be seen as affirmation, as I take it as a compliment. That the path that Jamaica has followed in institutional reforms, in making sure that the changes are not personality-based. Because I can hear it in the conversation, Lord, what will happen if Nigel not there? Minister Clark and myself have worked very hard to ensure that nothing that we do is personality-based. It's institution-based. It's creating rules, principles, policies, legislation, and above all, a culture. Because that's the only way that you can entrench legacy. Your work lives on after you by the institutions that you create. So I am not concerned. I am happy that one of my cabinet members, which validates our efforts, can be tapped for such a high position. If ever there was an endorsement of a government's policy, that is it. That is it. And we are not a shallow institution. And we don't depend on one man alone. We have a diverse leadership pool, a deep leadership pool. But more than that, every political organization must be able to attract new talent. When I tapped Minister Clark a couple of years ago, long time, and we sat down and we were talking about what we should be doing for the country, Minister Clark wasn't in the political arena. I brought him in. And my job as Prime Minister is to continue to scout the country for the incredible talents that exist. And not just bring them into the Jamaica Labour Party, that's important, but bring them into the government for the benefit of the people. We need to create more people like Minister Clark. Find the talent. And the journey is not at an end. The struggle is not at an end. There are other major areas that require the kind of precision effort. Laser-like focus, high-level thinking. There's no question. The fiscal issues, we're far away in solving those. But we need to start to spend a little bit more time now on the real economy, on the growth issues. We need to start to spend more time now on the bureaucracy, how to get things done quickly, not to dispense with rules, but how to develop the culture to follow rules more quickly. That requires laser-like focus and attention. There's a lot of issues still left to do. And I make sure I do my exercise and keep myself fit because I intend to be at the wicket to address these matters as we go along. So my friends, I want the Jamaican public to see these new buses as an expression of our economic independence. I want you to take care of these buses. I want you to use these buses to increase our productivity as a people. We waste millions of man hours, millions of hours, let's leave it at that, in traffic, waiting when we could be doing more productive activity. I close on this point. Minister Vaz said we save what? Something like $5 million daily. That's about $1.8 billion that we save by just switching fuel. But the JUTC loses close to $500 million yearly from theft, from thieving fuel. No, let's not be euphemistic about it. Because you know why, Minister Vaz? Somehow in our culture, the average man on the street doesn't see the stealing of the fuel as something wrong. It's as if it is that good for them to take the fuel. Not recognizing that every gallon of fuel that is stolen, you have to pay for it in taxes or be denied the improvement in service. It is a part of the culture that we need to erase, where people see the public property as not theirs, belong to somebody else, and we must raid it. Not recognizing that you're stealing from yourself, my friend. And that is why it is not just a change in the fuel, but we also have to change the way in which we collect the fares. I'm not trying to deny nobody them food, you know. But the essence of our political philosophy is by the sweat of your brow you shall eat bread. So, as we move to change out the entirety of the fleet to these other forms of fuel-driven buses, CNG and electric buses, we hope to radically cut the theft of JUTC's fuel and parts, and to ensure that that savings, both in the cost of the fuel and the theft of the fuel, is passed on into more convenience in buses for the people of Jamaica. Ladies and gentlemen, you have been a wonderful audience. God bless you and thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together once more for our most honorable Prime Minister, Andrew Holness. Thank you so much, sir, for your presentation and for reinforcing that today would not be possible without the growth and responsible management of our resources. Promise made, promise kept with our money. And now we can move forward in a smart, secure, and affordable way. So, ladies and gentlemen, we did promise to get you out of here at 12. We're just a few minutes beyond 12 o'clock. And as we come to the close of this significant handover ceremony, we'd like to extend on behalf of the Planning Committee and the Ministry heartfelt gratitude to all those who have contributed to making this event a resounding success. Again, we'd like to say thanks to Mr. Hadid. We'd like to say thanks to MP Phillips and Mr. Wang for their inspiring words and invaluable insights. Additionally, we'd like to say thanks to our government ministers and representatives, the Honorable Ministers Dr. Nigel Clark, Minister Darrell Vaz, and also, of course, the Most Honorable Prime Minister Andrew Holness for being here with us this morning. Your presence has added immense value to today's proceedings, and your contributions are deeply appreciated. We'd like to also acknowledge and express our gratitude to all the organizers who have worked tirelessly behind the scenes. Your dedication and hard work have been instrumental in ensuring that this morning went smoothly and successfully. Also, big thanks to participants, the dignitaries, the attendees, members of the media, those joining us online, those who are streaming, your presence and engagement. We say thank you so much again. Your support and participation has enriched this event. As we conclude, let's carry forward the spirit of hope and commitment that has categorized today's event. May we continue to work together to take advantage of and celebrate the efforts like these as we work alongside our government to build a better Jamaica with smart transportation, advancing Jamaica. My name is Deborah Bissoon. It has been my pleasure being your host for today's proceedings. Thank you. Have a safe journey home.